Hello and welcome to another quarantine cooking demo with me. My name is Michelle Nash. I'm the dietitian at the Berkshire Medical Center Cancer Center. And today I want to present to you a healthy, sweet and salty treat using the same ingredients. So the base of our dishes today are beans. Now you might not think of beans as being super delicious or something that you'd want to eat in a sweet treat, but I can tell you that by the end of this video, I hope I have convinced you. So this is the sweet demo, and I'm going to show you how to make a very delicious black bean brownie. There is also a recipe for a chickpea blondie. You can see here that I have some made for you, but I want to go through the process and show you how to make a very delicious black bean brownie. And this is the kind of brownie you can have and you don't even need to tell anybody that there are black beans in them because you just can't tell. So one of the reasons why I've chosen to focus on legumes is because they're extraordinarily healthy. So per serving, legumes have more antioxidants than pretty much any other food. So super healthy, really high in fiber, they're a good source of iron, they have some protein in them. So when you're making a sweet treat with a legume, what ends up happening is that you have some fiber to offset the sweetness, and that slows down how fast the carbs in the brownie turn into blood sugar. So it's actually just a healthier way to do it. Also, it's entirely gluten-free, so if that's something that you or a family member, a loved one needs to watch, it's a great recipe for that as well. So I want to start with sort of choosing the beans, because I think that's a place where people maybe try some beans and then it doesn't come out well, but I feel like I've got a trick up my sleeve for this. So right here I have some these are organic Hanover beans, and actually overall I've had better luck with organic beans than non-organic beans. So when you open up your can, these are already rinsed, you really want to go for like a nice dark purpley color. And I don't know if it's coming out really well here, but these are fairly purple. The water was really purple. And when you open them up, so sort of when you look at the inside of the bean, I'm just going to squish it here for you. It's really dark all the way through, and that's really what you want to look for. Now over here I have some Goya beans, and they're also very dark, but when I squish them for you, they're actually lighter on the inside and they're more mealy. So these are gonna be dry, and these are gonna give you that really beany texture, which just is not a good thing to have with a black bean brownie. So if you open a can of beans and they're sort of like my Goya beans over here, just wait, because with the salty video, I'm going to show you exactly what you can do with them. So don't fret. So we're going to start now. This uses the food processor a lot. The food processor is really important to get that texture really great. You want it super smooth so no one can tell that there are beans in there, because that's the whole idea, right? It's like having your cake and eating it too. So it's going to be fairly loud. If you're listening with headphones, just, maybe turn down the volume. So just so you know, I'm going to make some noise here. Run through with the beans. Now to really make sure that you get the texture really smooth, you want to just scrape down the sides just so you make sure that everything gets nice and blended up, because again, we want that really smooth texture. So I'm going to show you where I'm at so far. So right here we have that, everything's pretty well mixed in together, but you can still see there's like a little bit of texture to it. So I am actually gonna do it one more time just to make sure that I get a really good end product. This step is really important, so don't skimp on the processing with your food processor. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my wet ingredients. So this calls for 3 eggs and some vanilla. So we're putting that in. And also 3 tablespoons of oil and half a cup of honey. Now I do my oil and honey in the same measuring cup, because then the oil makes the honey come out really easily, and then you aren't, standing over it, waiting and waiting as the honey dribbles out, because that can just be annoying. So if you don't want them quite as sweet, you can do 1/3 of a cup of honey. I've done them like that, and that works well too. So now, so then you want to just make sure that you sort of have everything at the ready so that it can really blend up. Now it's going to get very, very liquidy and absolutely not traditional brownie texture. That's totally fine. Don't worry. Trust me. We'll get to great brownies at the end. So you really want to let that go for a while until everything's just really moving through really quickly and nothing is stuck at the bottom. So everything's lifted off. So we've got a really smooth mixture here. So in the meantime, you can prepare your dry ingredients, and that's half a cup of cocoa powder. And I recommend doing a really nice high quality cocoa powder. I like the Ghirardelli unsweetened cocoa powder, not the Dutch process. I have not gotten that rich chocolatey flavor that I want with the Dutch process, so I really like this one. So then I've got my salt and my baking soda in there, and definitely sift it because you don't want any lumps. You want everything to go through really smoothly. And then this recipe calls for some instant coffee powder. So normally I'd have instant espresso powder, but Big Y didn't have any that I liked. So I've got some of these. What's nice about these is that they're in little individual packets, so we can just use that. If you don't want the caffeine, they do make these in decaf, which is really nice, especially if you're making it for young children as like a dessert after dinner. You don't necessarily want them bouncing off the walls, or if they're friends' kids, and then their friend might never invite you over again. So what I have here, I've sifted in all my cocoa powder and my salt and the baking powder in there, so that's good to go. Now this doesn't look like it's a lot of dry ingredients, but as I mix this up, it's going to really pull the entire dough together, so it's really going to come out like a traditional brownie batter. And so just watch as it does that, because it's really like magic. I think it is. Baking's magic. sorry this is such a noisy video for you, but I'm gonna scrape this down and then run it one more time just to sort of get everything mixed in. And then I'll show you what it looks like. So here is the brownie batter, and that's fairly consistent with sort of what you would expect with a traditional brownie batter. It's a batter that's fairly loose. There's a good amount of liquid in it, but you can see it definitely came together really nicely, and that's because of the cocoa powder. So you'd want to have a greased pan. I do recommend lining it with parchment paper. That makes it just really easy to get out at the end, because these brownies are pretty nice and fudgy and gooey and great. So yeah, so pour your batter in. And this recipe can make, I usually say 16 brownies. You can do 9 if you wanted, but 16 I think is a really great number because they are quite indulgent. They're extraordinarily chocolatey. And even though they do have beans in them, you know, they also have chocolate chips, which I'm gonna put in right now. So, you know, it's like chocolate with a side of beans. So I have the chocolate chips here, and I'm gonna put about half of them in and then mix them through the batter. And you can definitely do this in a bowl, but you can also just do it in the pan. That's totally fine. And then if you wanted to, you can add some nuts. I have some walnuts here. So again, I'm gonna do most of them in there, and I'm just leaving a little bit of the nuts and chocolate chips on top. We're gonna use it and sprinkle them for decoration. And then when they're all done, it just really lends itself to that really nice finished product. And then if you cut them and they sort of stick together and you get odd shapes like I do, at least, you know, they look nice. They taste great, I do have to say. So the nuts boost the protein as well. Walnuts especially are great. They provide omega-3 fatty acids, which are really good for your brain. So just another reason why, you know, eating some black bean brownies is a really good idea. So this is what it looks like. And you pop it in the oven at 350 for about 25 minutes. You might need a few extra minutes. You wait until there are going to be cracks sort of in the center. There will start being cracks around the outside as it bakes, and then cracks will form in the center. Then take it out and let it cool, minimum half an hour. Don't try to cut it immediately, or you won't be able to cut it. It needs to firm up. And then if it's still too moist to cut, then pop it in the fridge for a couple minutes, and that will firm it up as well. And then you get to enjoy a really delicious brownie. And you can see here, the texture is really great. Yeah, they're just a really nice brownie. So I wanted to share that with you. There will also be a recipe for the peanut butter chickpea blondies. That's actually a simpler recipe. Same thing about letting the food processor run until everything's super smooth. And no special thing to note about the brand of chickpeas. Those, I haven't found a difference. The only thing with the chickpea blondies, a few drops of almond extract completely mask the taste of the chickpeas, and you can absolutely pass those off as, you know, just a healthy blondie. So I hope that you have enjoyed the sweet treat section, and stay tuned because we'll be right back with our salty treats.
Woohoo!